There's no such thing as a dull race in Formula 2, as this weekend we've been served up with an absolute cracker, particularly in the feature race, which has just finished now as I'm recording this video. But let's get into this video. Let's get into the 5 things that we learned review from the Hungaroring round, easy for me to say, of Formula 2 this weekend. So let's give a quick mention to the sprint, just a sprint through actually going through the sprint race. The first thing that we learned is that Kimi Antonelli made a pretty big mistake at the start of the sprint race. He ended up getting some big flat spots on his tyres, and that really caused him some problems. Now, the thing with the sprint race is that you don't have to pit during it. So some drivers were starting on the hards, some drivers were starting on the soft. Antonelli was one who started on the soft, and unfortunately he just basically burned his tyres out, had to drop down to the back of the grid. It was looking like it was going to be a very bad weekend for the young Italian, but things can change in motorsport very quickly, and they did for him in a very positive way, but I will get into that very shortly. But yeah, it was a great race from Richard Bischoff. I really think he's an underrated driver, you know. I really do like him. He seems to pop up with some really solid wins in Formula 2, and I think he'd be a great driver for someone. I mean, I don't think he's really going to get into F1, to be honest with you, the greatest respect to him, but you know, I can really see him going to IndyCar, really going to Formula E, going to, you know, EC even. I think he'd be really good at endurance racing personally, but a great win for him. I think it's his 4th victory in Formula 2 if you count all of his sprint and feature wins over the years. But yeah, let's get into the feature now, the thing that you really want to hear about. Victor Martins. Now, Martins has had an awful season. Now, I think he finished in 5th place overall in the standings last year. He's the highest returning driver from last season. And like Behrman as well, to be fair, he has really struggled this season at times. It seems as though he got back on form in Spain, got a sprint victory, but then in the feature he was took out on the first lap. But this race, I really think he showed his quality. He got from 5th on the grid up to 1st at the end of the first lap, and he looked as though he was going to win this one, but somebody had something to say about that. But saying that though, he got in P2 in the end, and that's a great result for him. It's going to really propel him up the standings. And yeah, so the third thing that we learned is that there was a very controversial clash between Paul Aaron and Zane Maloney. Now, Isaac Hadjar, who was leading the standings before this race, and I believe still is leading the standings after this race as well, he was well down the order. He had some sort of operational error or something like that. That's why he started down the order. I think he's a high-tech driver. I'm learning the teams as I go. You know, it's hard because they all have the sponsor liveries on. Like, to me, it looks like a Red Bull. But I believe he's a high-tech. But yeah, they had some sort of operational error. He started well down. Aaron and Maloney were both up near the front of the grid. I think they were 3rd and 4th at the time, 2nd and 3rd or something like that. And you had Aaron trying to do a move on Hauger. Now, Hauger was side by side with him, and in front of them both was Paul Aaron. Aaron completely misjudged Maloney's speed, because Maloney's in front of him. I apologise. And yeah, he just ran into the back of him, took them both out. Really controversial clash between the two of them. But to be fair, you know, Aaron did say, you know, I've ruined my race here. He didn't say, oh, he's ruined my race, he took me off, nothing like that. So I think he's owned up for it. He's been very mature, but quite a rookie error that's really should have been a big race for them to capitalise on Hadjar starting further down. But as it is, all 3 of them do not score any points in the feature race. Now, we had 2 school of thoughts when it came to the strategy during this one. Either to start on the soft tyres or the hard tyres. Soft tyre runners seem to be rewarded really early on, as we had that clash between Aaron and Maloney cause a safety car. They all pitted after about 7 laps because of that. That was the earliest possible time they could pit, and it seemed as though they had a massive advantage. But no, it was the hard tyre runners, the guys who started on the hards, that had the big advantage, because late on, Amaury Cole-Deal, he had a crash, brought out the safety car, allowed some of the drivers further up to pit under safety car, and none other than Kimi Antonelli was in 5th place. And the final thing that we learned is that Antonelli is as talented as what Toto Wolff is saying. I can totally buy why they want to sign him so badly, why they want to get him in a Formula 1 car now for half a season at Williams. You know, he is an unbelievably talented driver, and he started in 5th at the restart. Now, he had the faster tyres, let's not get away from it. He had fresher, soft tyres. Everybody else was on old hard tyres, but Antonelli scythed through the field. He got from P5 to P1 in 3 laps. It was an incredible drive for him. I believe he's still 17 years of age as well, or maybe he's 18 now, but he's an incredibly young driver. and he pulled out a 10-second gap by the end of the field. And some people might be saying, oh, the tyres are just that much better, and they were better, don't get me wrong, but to pull out a 10-second gap by the finish in about 10 laps after taking 4 drivers, nobody else got close to that kind of pace. There were other runners further down the field on soft tyres, but they didn't have anything like that kind of performance advantage. He's really announced himself. I mean, he did fantastic at Silverstone in very difficult conditions in the wet to win the sprint, but this is his first feature race win, and he really had to work for it. He went really well on the hard tyres to get himself up there, and then when he went onto the softs, nobody could stop him. Nobody could stop him. He is a superb talent, and for me, he absolutely has to be in Formula 1 next year. Whether it's for Williams, whether it's for Mercedes, get him in F1. He needs an F1 drive. Absolutely. So, yeah. First feature race win for the kid. Very happy. Incredible race. I'm just watching his interview now. The Mercedes hierarchy are looking at him like, yeah, you're good enough to replace Lewis. Honestly. Give him a few years, he's going to be a race winner in Formula 1. Might not even need a few years, he might be like Verstappen. But anyway, I'm rambling. Great weekend in Formula 2. Really enjoyed it. Feature race, an absolute classic. What do you guys think about it? Let us know in the comments below, as always. And for much more support series, content just like this, keep it tuned right here to the Formula1Chronicle.com.